Three nations, three elections, one troubling pattern in Cameroon. 92-year-old President Paul Biya has secured an 8th term, extending his rule to nearly half a century. In Tanzania and Ivory Coast, similar stories unfolding allegations of manipulation, intimidation, and what some call political terrorism.
Political terrorism indeed. Today we ask a question that echoes across the continent. Are elections still about the voice of the people or the echo of power? Well, joining us this morning is Pan-African affairs analyst, Dr. David Matsanga joins us live this morning. I do hear that you're not in Tanzania. Can you confirm where you're joining us from this morning?
I am in East Africa, in Tanzania, using the satellite link. I think I can show you my satellite link live. It is working. If you have a VPN, you work. Okay. It is live. Tanzania is working. The planes are going in. They are flying out. Don't listen to the images that you see of AI. The airport is functioning. Please. This is something that we must discuss as generations, because I am here. The planes are coming in. Going out. Book a plane to come to Dar es Salaam.
Okay, it's good to know that you're one of the first out of many, because we've seen conversations online. Some journalists have said that they're not allowed to go into Tanzania because they will not be able to criticize the election process and so on. But thank you for joining us first off. This conversation is going to look critically at the just concluded elections in 3 different African countries, one continent, by the way. And like my colleague did say at the opening, different and similar patterns that has led to protests and youth's restiveness that we see on the streets. But let's start with one of them. Cameroon, the biggest one. I'm not excited. I mean, that's not why I'm actually jumpy, but I'm just excited to hear your thoughts on what we've seen. It's unprecedented. President Biya wins again, but the streets of Garou and Yaoundé tell a different story. Protests, arrests, international condemnation, and we didn't even see him campaign. I mean, he was using Dr. Matsanga. What's your take on the just concluded Cameroon elections?
First of all, in Cameroon is the sad story of Africa. This is a gentleman who is senile, and I call it senile. I'm not God. I don't want to judge him whether he should go to heaven or hell today or tomorrow. All of us will go. But this is a man who rules from proxy. He rules Cameroon from Switzerland, Geneva, in a hotel, until I blocked him coming from to London. He used to rule, come to London for medical treatment. I filed an application in the Old Bailey telling him, should he ever step in London, I'll do the Pinochet, what we did to Pinochet with the Chilean refugees. So he doesn't step in London. His plane does not pass anywhere near the airspace of United Kingdom. This is a man, you talk of elections. What elections was in Cameroon? Nothing. It's a rigged election, a rigged result. A result announced by all men, set by Mr. Paul Biya, 93, 91, 89, 85, 84, 82, 90. There is one almost reaching 100, who is a general in the army. 2, the point of Cameroon is dangerous in that part of Cameroon, the children for 9 years, the children, the women are in camps. Southern Cameroon are in camps. The English-speaking country are in camps. In fact, for me now, my condemnation is on African Union and the Commonwealth. They send observers to observe elections over dead bodies. They did not even look at the dead bodies, how Mr. Paul Biya has killed very many people. Over 3,000 people are in jail, prisoners of war. I am one of the lawyers for the Naira 10 who were abducted from Abuja in a hotel, detained and sentenced to life. So what type of election is this that you call election? There were no elections in Cameroon. It was a selection.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned the African Union, Dr. Matsanga, because the chairperson of the African Union, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, congratulated President Paul Biya on his re-election for his 8th term and calls for national dialogue in the Republic of Cameroon. They say African solution to African problems. Well, the African Union doesn't seem to see any problem in Cameroon. That's why they've extended their congratulations to President Paul Biya. What's your take on this and your reaction, Dr. Matsanga?
In fact, my dear brother, African Union is dead. The word D-E-A-D, dead. It should not be even, don't mention it in your lips because it is sour. There is no African Union. The African Union stopped working when that lady of South Africa, Dlamini Zuma, was the chairperson. When Mohamed Faki took over, you know my battles with the African Union, the corruption, the scandals that I have exposed to the international community. I warned the people and I warned the Africans. My good prophecy has come to pass. I told them, Mr. Mohamed Yusuf is a French mercenary, is a puppet. France has captured the African Union. We have no say, we have no lead. All talks, peace talks, DRC is led by Qatar, by that madman across the Atlantic called Trump. You see, all these things, African Union should be the leader, not the other countries to come and lead. Then it comes to congratulate. I have sent a message to all African heads of state who are going to meet in Angola, and I'm going to Angola because Angola they are my in-laws. I'm going there to petition so that he is taken down. We want a vote of no confidence. We want to censor him. He has not functioned. Since he came to power, more conflicts have taken place. So, my dear brother, there is no African Union. If you are looking for African Union, look for the African Union when Gaddafi used to exist. Look for African Union when Mugabe used to exist. Look for African Union when Dlamini Zuma was the chairperson. After that, it died. With Mohamed Faki collecting money from Qatar, from where, from Middle East, from all sorts of things. Your problem in Boko Haram would have been solved by African Union. Nobody has done that, so we are in trouble. No, African Union is a dead organization.
All right, with African Union out of the way, permit me to go back to Cameroon again so that we can close out on Cameroon. I want us to, we want to also move to Cote d'Ivoire, and then we'll also take a look at Tanzania, where you are. We'll leave that for last. Well, is there any legitimacy left with Cameroon's Constitutional Council when they declared the results with precision of 53.66% for Biya, 35.19% for opposition candidate Issa Chiroma Bakri, despite early signs that showed that Bakri was actually in the lead? We did see him put out a video that he was so confident that he's going to win because he was certain that the numbers were actually tilting towards his favor. And the mood of the nation was showing that maybe it's about time for the president to go. He stayed too long. But at the end of the day, bam, it changes all of a sudden. What do you have to say to this?
Let me tell you, what is remaining in Cameroon is for international community to stand up. Unfortunately, Britain, United Nations, France, and to some extent the United States of America fear to tackle Cameroon. Do you know why? They never wrote an agreement to surrender Southern Cameroon. There is no agreement anywhere in the world. This is the only country where Northern Cameroon, the French speakers, went and annexed after resolution 1608 of the United Nations General Assembly. It's sad. The fight in Cameroon is between the French speakers, where Paul Biya comes from, and the Southern English speakers. And unfortunately, the Commonwealth, with our Secretary General who comes from Ghana, when she visited Cameroon, I don't know what they do to them. They come out laughing instead of coming out to condemn Cameroon and condemn Paul Biya. So what is left for Cameroon at the moment? all these states, these superpowers fear to tackle the issue of Cameroon because of they handed over Cameroon without agreement. I've been to the International Court of Justice together with other states in the Sahel. We are pursuing that route to bring about why was Cameroon handed over without an agreement. France does not want Paul Biya to go. Interest. Britain does not want Paul Biya to go. Interest. America is talking big, hot fire, cold water. Doesn't want Paul Biya to go. Human rights are being abused. They know it, and they condone. There is another country called Finland that has joined in looking for minerals. Norway is looking for minerals. They don't want this thing to go. The oil is pumping out. You see, they choose leaders whom they can use, like Mabutu and others they used. We suspended Abacha. Okay. When Abacha imprisoned that Obasanjo, it was Matsanga breaking the windows of the Nigerian embassy in London to pick up the ambassador out. It is me and Osuju, Judge Osuju. We wanted them. We suspended the Abacha from Commonwealth. We suspended the Rawlings from Commonwealth. Why are we not suspending Mr. Paul Biya and Cameroon from the Commonwealth? To some extent, your own nation should be not even in its Commonwealth. The values have gone. I've been hearing what you are talking previously with the other speaker. Oh my God, a whole country with resources is in turmoil. So here we are. We call upon the international community to come back and realize that people are dying, children. There are children for 9 years who have never gone to school. Let me tell you, brothers, they have never gone to school. The women have been raped, defiled, killed. 3,000 prisoners of war in prison.
You're right. You're right,
Yes.
Dr. Matsanga, and it's an absolute tragedy that even when we look inwards, the African Union can't seem to do something about the problems in Africa. And then when we look outwards, the Western nations are just out there to help exploit our resources. But let's move to West Africa, where Nigeria is situated, Ivory Coast to be specific. We all remember the conditions and the way the current president, Alassane Ouattara, came into office. Former President Laurent Gbagbo was trying to seek another term in office, which was not constitutional. It led to a civil war. Thankfully, they were able to resolve things. The war ended. President Ouattara was sworn in, and he has used the parliament to remove constitutional limits. He has just won his fourth term in office. And the irony is that this is someone who the entire continent came around to support and say, let's say no to tenure elongation. Now, he's committed the same sin as his predecessor. He's 83 years old. Why do we seem to have a power fix, this contagion in Africa? Why do we have sit-tight leaders? If they're not military, when they become civilians, they change constitutional term limits, and we apparently just live with it. Equatorial Guinea, Uganda, the examples are many. Isaias Afwerki in Eritrea too.
Let me be very frank. First solution, Africa must go back to a drawing table. China 40 years ago was in turmoil like Africa today. I think the democratic elections of voting one man, one vote have collapsed. It has collapsed in Africa. It will always create a war. Apart from South Africa, Liberia, Senegal, Ghana, and to some extent,
Botswana.
Your place, yes, it has collapsed. So I am saying we better go back and to a drawing table. 40 years ago, China went back. Mao Zedong died. They thought about a new way out. Today, 40 years past, China is between the French speakers, where Paul Biya comes from, and the Southern English speakers. And unfortunately, the Commonwealth, with our Secretary General who comes from Ghana, when she visited Cameroon, I don't know what they do to them. They come out laughing instead of coming out to condemn Cameroon and condemn Paul Biya. So what is left for Cameroon at the moment? all these states, these superpowers, fear to tackle the issue of Cameroon because of they handed over Cameroon without agreement. I've been to the International Court of Justice together with other states in the Sahel. We are pursuing that route to bring about why was Cameroon handed over without an agreement. France does not want Paul Biya to go. Interest. Britain does not want Paul Biya to go. Interest. America is talking big, hot fire, cool water. Doesn't want Paul Biya to go. Human rights are being abused. They know it, and they condone. There is another country called Finland that has joined in looking for minerals. Norway is looking for minerals. They don't want this thing to go. The oil is pumping out. You see, they choose leaders whom they can use, like Mabutu and others they used. We suspended Abacha. Okay. When Abacha imprisoned that Obasanjo, it was Matsanga breaking the windows of the Nigerian embassy in London to pick up the ambassador out. It is me and Osuju, Judge Osuju. We wanted them. We suspended the Abacha from Commonwealth. We suspended the Rawlings from Commonwealth. Why are we not suspending Mr. Paul Biya and Cameroon from the Commonwealth? To some extent, your own nation should be not even in its Commonwealth. The values have gone. I've been hearing what you are talking previously with the other speaker. Oh my God, a whole country with resources is in turmoil. So here we are. We call upon the international community to come back and realize that people are dying, children. There are children for 9 years who have never gone to school. Let me tell you, brothers, they have never gone to school. The women have been raped, defiled, killed. 3,000 prisoners of war in prison.
You're right. You're right,
Yes.
Dr. Matsanga, and it's an absolute tragedy that even when we look inwards, the African Union can't seem to do something about the problems in Africa. And then when we look outwards, the Western nations are just out there to help exploit our resources. But let's move to West Africa, where Nigeria is situated, Ivory Coast to be specific. We all remember the conditions and the way the current president, Alassane Ouattara, came into office. Former President Laurent Gbagbo was trying to seek another term in office, which was not constitutional. It led to a civil war. Thankfully, they were able to resolve things. The war ended. President Ouattara was sworn in, and he has used the parliament to remove constitutional limits. He has just won his fourth term in office. And the irony is that this is someone who the entire continent came around to support and say, let's say no to tenure elongation. Now, he's committed the same sin as his predecessor. He's 83 years old. Why do we seem to have a power fix, this contagion in Africa? Why do we have sit-tight leaders? If they're not military, when they become civilians, they change constitutional term limits, and we apparently just live with it. Equatorial Guinea, Uganda, the examples are many. Isaias Afwerki in Eritrea too.
Let me be very frank. First solution, Africa must go back to a drawing table. China 40 years ago was in turmoil like Africa today. I think the democratic elections of voting one man, one vote have collapsed. It has collapsed in Africa. It will always create a war. Apart from South Africa, Liberia, Senegal, Ghana, and to some extent,
Botswana.
Your place, yes, it has collapsed. So I am saying we better go back and to a drawing table. 40 years ago, China went back. Mao Zedong died. They thought about a new way out. Today, 40 years past, China is giving us loans. Africa has got resources, it can go back. Two, one of the problems of Africa's democracy is looking at presidential term. You notice that in all these presidential elections are more contested. The contestation is more acute on the presidency, not MP. Presidents, Because Africa has copied and pasted bad constitution of United States on their constitutions. Parliamentary systems in South Africa work. You have been there. You see, you vote, you go back home and listen to the results in South Africa. Why doesn't Africa change to a model that cannot bring competition on presidents? Coming to Ivory Coast, let me tell you, I was one of the last people in Ivory Coast with the Thabo Mbeki, Chisano, and the late Raila Odinga. We were there when the war broke. The French came and installed Alassane Ouattara. Alassane Ouattara is not even supposed to be an Ivory Coast president, but he knocks out the real people. He is from Burkina Faso. Facts must be talked. And Africans, people like you, must speak facts. Why your television is becoming the best on African continent is because you speak facts. Ouattara is from Burkina Faso. He should not be leading Ivory Coast. He bumped out on the help of the French. He was installed, and they took Babgo. That's why he went to ICC to oppose. And I won. You look at the records. We won the case of Babgo. There was no case against Babgo. Now, you know what? Most of the leaders in Africa fear departure from power. Because at times, those who come to power go for recrimination, go for witch hunt. Why don't we change strategy, my brothers? Redemption strategy, which Matsanga has been saying. I was a critical President Museveni. We could not sit together on table. But look at me today. We shook hands. We did what we call a redemption strategy in our country. It might lack some democracy, deficit, but it has peace. That's one thing I like about Museveni. President Museveni has brought peace in my country. You can't beat up a Ugandan and you walk free. No, they will look for you. That security is what I want. So go redemption strategy. Try Africa. Your country, Nigeria, needs redemption. It's torn to pieces. Everybody wants to go away because the old colonial agreements have elapsed. So come back and renew your faith in your systems. On Ouattara, I am telling you, it is the French supporting him, the French putting him on that seat. Otherwise, he will not be on the seat. He will not be in the seat.
Okay, Dr.
Matsanga. To overthrow.
Dr. Matsanga, I'd like us to quickly, because of time, let's move to Tanzania. The protests have been, protests are spreading across Tanzania as we speak after they feel that the elections were marred by unrest. We've seen images, pictures. Take, for instance, they've said the protest has escalated to major cities across Tanzania, and supporters have denounced the presidential, also don't forget the military elections. They've called it, in quotes, it's a sham. But there you are, seated somewhere in Tanzania, saying that all what we see in the media is not in any way close to what's really happening there in Tanzania. So we'd like you to be your eyes and ears, and let's see if we can juxtapose the reality of what's on ground to reality of what some of the men in the press have been able to cover. Tell us, what's really happening?
First of all, I will be very objective, and I will give you what is on the ground. The images that you are seeing, some of them are demonstrations of 2020, 2021. The AI younger generation is picking the images. There are no streets of that nature. In one of the images that is flowing around, they have South African police escorting people in Johannesburg planted on Tanzania. President Kikwete is in Tanzania. I've called him. He's in Tanzania. And the people are saying he's not in Tanzania. Tanzania is one of the countries liberated most of the countries in the region. As a former liberator myself, I would not stand to watch anyone dismember Tanzania because of foreign paid mercenaries by George Soros' organization called Open Society Foundation. Tundu Lissu. It is me who told Tundu Lissu to talk to the government of Tanzania. I met him in Belgium in a small house where I cannot sleep myself. Yes, He was suffering there. I told him, talk to the government. He talked to the government. He was paid money, compensated, a redemption strategy. Then when he came back, do you know one of the things in Africa you don't do? You don't laugh and celebrate when your friend has died. Tindilusu went openly on international TV with an interview with me and others on the panel. He celebrated when Magufuli died. I told him that is very bad, my young man.
But in fairness to Tindilusu, Dr. Matsanga, he said, I remember interviewing Tindilusu, he did say categorically that the late John Pombe Magufuli ordered his assassination. And I asked him, and I doubled down, I asked him, do you know the implication of what you're just saying on national TV? He said, yes, that he's a lawyer, he's a former head of the Tanzanian Bar Association, and he stands by his allegations that the late President John Pombe Magufuli ordered his assassination.
He was a racketeer. In Tanzania, he's known for being a racketeer in money laundering and businesses. Yes, we have no proof about that. But even if you have harmed me, I don't celebrate about your death, my son. My two younger people, I can't. I will keep quiet. How many of us have lost? I've lost my wife. I've lost my father out of assassination. But I have never celebrated against any of those people who killed them when they died. So he did a very bad thing too. The Constitution of Tanzania, let me tell the world to listen. It says 60%. Once you get the highest percentage, wins the election. There is no Supreme Court. There is no more argument about the presidential elections. That is the system that works in Tanzania to keep unity. Two, Tundu Lissu was preaching separation. He wants to separate Tanzania from the mainland. No government can allow you. Let people know his side, other side of Tundu Lissu. We cannot sit here to say Tanzania is closed. Closed where? Planes are coming in. There's nobody at the airport. People are going out doing their work.
Okay.
If you have VPN, like the VPN I'm raising right now,
quickly, Dr. Matsanga, thanks for clearing the air on the situation in Tanzania, because we have 2 minutes to go, and it will be grave injustice if we don't talk about the situation in Al-Fashir in Sudan. What's happening to our Sudanese brothers there? The situation is dire. We've seen videos and images, even satellite imagery, emerging from Al-Fashir in Darfur, Sudan. What is the African Union doing about the situation, the RSF, and I'm sorry I brought in the African Union, but what do we need to stop this massive ethnic cleansing and bloodshed committed by the RSF, which is supported and funded by the United Arab Emirates in Al-Fashir?
Let me tell you, I have taken part as a rapporteur in the Sudan peace talks in Geneva. The problems of Sudan, simply, America, France, Libya, they have, do you know, there is a mercenary army of 30,000, over 30,000 men, led by General Khalifa Haftar. Let me tell Africa to listen to me. 30,000 men, equipped, supplied, supported by Egypt. They are in that region, in the corridor. They are the people who killed Idris Deby. France supplies them with all sophisticated weapons. Whose army is this? They have divided Libya. Those are the mercenaries coming down onto Al-Fashir, Darfur region. I and Mbeki, we solved the Darfur issue. We brought peace in Darfur. None of these malcontents who are walking around talking today ever solved the issue of Darfur. I'm very bitter about Sudan. Sudan is bleeding. African Union is posing with pictures. A man is posing pictures on a plane because he has no toilet in his home area. He has come to power. He's showing us pictures on a plane. And when a country is burning, I, Dr. Matsanga, would do everything. I know the two generals, General Burhan and the General Dagula. You used to know me from 1994. I used to come to Khartoum to meet Bashir. Come on table. Come on table. And the United States of America, please stop funding one side. You are also funding one side in Jeddah. And you are causing more problems for us in Africa. Let us take an African initiative, put ourselves together, and go and tell the generals informally. Some of us are ready to risk our lives. I know where General Daglo is. He's in Jamena. I've ever gone there. Okay. I know his hotel. I can go and I persuade him to come out and come on table. I know General Burhan. Why are people not using us? Because they want to make more money, to make more money, and that's why Sudan is bleeding. My friend, that time has come to speak up the mind, and it's good. Thank you for this television station, for allowing Africa to hear the truth.
Okay.
Those who take our records will hear Sudan is bleeding because of the French, Libyan axis, and America confusing Burhan.
Okay.
Burhan.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga, for your time, and thanks for joining us here on Breakfast Central to look into the elections across a few countries in Africa and also touching on this particular topic. We look forward to having you again.
And I forgot to tell you something. My Uganda, our president, Museveni, is going to win because the opposition is useless.
Okay.
That younger man is the most useless man. He can play guitar very well, but not politics.
Okay, thank you for your time, Dr. Matsanga. We have
so
to.
I know.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Matsanga. We're out of time.